Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the most broken warlock build that makes you practically invincible in any situation. As long as you have a few adds around to kill to get your grenade back, we are going to be using the Speaker's Sight, which turns your healing grenades into a restorative turret. Healing allies occasionally spawning orbs of power is pretty good, but not the be all and end all of this build. But the healing grenades, restorative turret, you throw it down, it heals you with about 5 or 6 different blasts of healing waves. It chases you across map, it follows you and it heals you, and you can get it back almost instantly. Now I've gone for basically a resilience and as much discipline as I can get. If I had 10 discipline, I would be just rocking with this, because even if you do mess up the kind of interactions that help with each other, you'll get your grenade back pretty quickly without it. So for the mods that I have is Kinetic Siphon to get an orb of power, and obviously just heavy ammo finder and heavy ammo scout. I just use this because I use an incredible blast furnace, and if you don't have this role, I feel sorry for you. But if you have anything with kinetic tremors at the very minimum, upgrade the perk on this. It is utterly silly. I also use Luna's Howl because of incandescent and spreading scorch, because that also plays into my build too. And then I just got a bait and switch MBS Assassin Edge Transit, because why not? And then for the arms, I basically have Impact Induction to get my grenade cooldown when I hit with my powered melee twice, and then I have Focusing Strike, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a powered melee attack. So I'll get my class energy back and grenade energy back when I'm using a melee. This is a backup strat. You don't need the powered melee for this build, but it's just there in case I want to get my grenade back. Then I have Charged Up for, you know, the amount of armor charge I can carry. This is going to play in well with the solar charges that I'm using. Any resistances that you want. Honestly, you don't even need the Charged Up. I just have it. For the legs, I have 2 solar surges. This works with my incandescent Luna's Howl. I switch this up as I'm going depending on what weapons I'm using, but reducing grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. That blast furnace creating orbs of power, picking it up, getting my grenade back for that healing. That is why I do this. It's pretty badass. You can probably take one of these off and add another innovation on. Mix and match, but I just like having big damage on my Luna's Howl when I am using it. And sometimes I use the Dragon's Breath or Galahorn instead of the Edge Transit, so the solar surges work. Then for the bond, I have Time Dilation to make those armor charges last longer, to make the solar charge last longer, and then reducing grenade cooldown when using your class ability twice. Now for the Prismatic setup, we have the Song of Flame, the new solar super, just absolutely is utterly phenomenal. Basically, you just get fast charging abilities, so you can throw out a heat-seeking grenade and throw out an incinerator snap that kind of locks onto a single or couple of enemies. It's not the spread snap, and this will essentially allow you to have 6 melees and 7 grenades to throw out. You can wipe out pretty much any amount of adds or even just one single big boss with this super alone. This is kind of just like if my interactions haven't worked out but I have my super, it's just I pop my super and then by the time I get back, my healing grenade is there. You also get Radiant here, and that will play into the thing as well, the build. So that's just a pretty cool, you know, last minute backup for the healing grenade strat, but also to do a lot of damage. Transcendence, pretty cool on here if you haven't seen it before. You throw out a Void and Stasis to slow and suppress enemies. Pretty damn cool grenade in my opinion, but that's another thing. It's not that important for this build. We're staying invincible. And basically, with the healing grenade that turns into a turret, all of these things are going to act to get your grenade back. So Phoenix Dive, you can go with Healing Rift if you know you've got teammates and stuff, but I go with the Phoenix Dive because the base cooldown is faster. I get a bump to my own health, so even if I do run out of not having absolutely perfect rotations, I can heal myself in other ways. Healing myself with this Phoenix Dive will activate the tangles on the Weaver's Call, so using your class ability to weave 3 threadlings to deploy any threadlings you have perched. This basically does strand damage, which gets my Prismatic back quicker and just clears out a few adds if I'm panicking. So this is like a very last minute backup strat if everything else has failed. but very rarely do I need to actually do this. I just use this for damage, to be honest. I don't even need to heal myself half the time. If I wasn't going to go with that, I would go with a full solar build and have Hellion. So while I'm doing my Phoenix dive, I get a little solar mortar which attacks enemies, and it does quite a lot of damage, to be honest. So I might try it out with this, but for right now I'm using Threadling. Then for the powered melee that, you know, we were just talking about how it plays into everything, I use the Incinerator Snap, because all you have to do is inflict damage with your powered melee, and this will hit multiple enemies. So if I miss 2 or 3 enemies but it clips one of them on the outside with the Incinerator Snap, I'm still going to get that grenade back. But also as well, explode and scorching targets. Scorch and explode will play into the build as well. And then obviously healing grenade too. So with that and the aspects out of the way, well, not all the aspects, defeating a target with any ability activates Devour. So if I'm killing people with the Incinerator Snap, I'm getting Devour. If I'm using my super, I'm getting Devour. And Transcendence, I get my Devour. So all in all, pretty goddamn beast setup. So the Facet of Ruin increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target. That plays in well with my Transcendence. But what I'm looking for off this Fragments is the increases the area of effect of solar ignitions. So that Incinerator Snap and my Luna's Howl, you know, I'm doing more area of effects, and I get plus 10 mobility. Next up, the Facet of Hope. While you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. So like I said, getting Radiance off pretty much everything that I've got, getting Restoration off my healing grenade, I will then get my class ability back, which I can use to heal myself and do damage too. We also have Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light energy gives melee energy. Rapidly defeating targets with darkness energy grants grenade energy. So I have a thing here. So the Threadlings that I launch and do damage with, I get my grenade back faster. But also as well, on top of that, if I switch to my Luna's Howl and I'm doing damage with that, I'll get my melee back. So I get that powered melee to get my grenade back anyway. Then we have Facet of Dawn. Powered melee hits against target makes you radiant. So again, getting that buff to mix in with the Facet of Hope. I'm doing melee attacks anyway. Powered melee final blows makes you and nearby allies radiant. So, you know, it helps out your team as well. And then we have Facet of Blessing. Melee final blows start health regeneration, while Transcendent melee final blows start health regeneration for you and your nearby team. So the rotation here is throwing out your melee, getting all these buffs, which helps you get your class ability back, which helps you do Threadling damage to get your prismatic darkness built up. But also as well, on top of that, you get, you know, the balance one. So you're doing defeating targets with darkness damage grants you grenade energy, which gets your healing grenade back. If I turn to my Luna's Howl, I can get my melee back. My melee, when I throw it out, gives a whole different set of buffs. It is just an utterly phenomenal build. So I've been testing this out in different ways, and I want to go and test it in Onslaught because that's kind of like a good litmus test for what we should expect from the game. But running around on the Pale Heart, there are obviously the overthrow missions where you go and do public events. Now, one of the public events in the impasse underneath the bridge basically puts you in a situation where you're getting hordes of enemies running at you, and that's what you're seeing in the background right now. You stand on a pad, and the pad depletes, and then you go to the next pad that depletes, the third pad that depletes, and then a boss spawns. But while you're standing on those plates, you just get hordes of enemies coming at you. I didn't even have to move other than when I got yanked off by one of those Weaver guys, but I just stood there and was getting healing, using my blast furnace to absolutely annihilate everything, get my energy back, throw out another turret before the first turret's even gone. If by any chance I get surrounded to the point where I need to heal, use my Phoenix dive, but I don't ever need to do that, honestly. It's just a ridiculous build, and I don't know how they're going to fix it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to fix it. It makes solo play completely trivial. I don't know how broken it could be in endgame stuff, but I could see it working. Have like 2 or 3 warlocks just running around doing this. You got the damage from your super, you got damage from your weapons, you're buffing and healing yourself, buffing and healing your teammates. It just seems like an absolutely ridiculous build. And obviously it can be improved as well with better stats. My stats are all over the place. I've got 86 discipline. That could be 100 if you've got better armor and you can get triple hundreds. You know, you've got recovery, discipline, resilience. You're just going to be on fire. You'll be unstoppable. You could throw some of that into melee if you're going to use the melee part of the build a lot. It's just so intrinsic and cyclical that it just makes the game fun, but also just trivial because you're just constantly alive and constantly healing. And I'm sure you could probably make some tweaks to the subclass as well and just make it even better. But for right now, do this build. Make it, create it, use it, get the speaker site. It's unbelievable. And trust me when I say, I am not a player that enjoys support work. I hated using well, but I had to, and I just wanted to use things that made my game more fun. This is, without a doubt, from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, the most fun I have ever had on a character in a build. Try it out. It's amazing. Thank you for watching. I've been easynow. You guys have been awesome.